Canada just fired an economic shot heard around the world. After decades of sending virtually all its oil south to the United States, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced Canada will build a massive new Pacific Coast pipeline to ship over 1 million barrels per day to Asian markets, fundamentally reshaping North American energy flows and delivering a stunning blow to United States energy security. The announcement came on November 27th in Calgary, Alberta, where Carney stood alongside Alberta Premier Danielle Smith to sign a historic framework agreement that represents nothing less than Canada's declaration of economic independence from its southern neighbor. Carney didn't mince words about what triggered this seismic shift. United States tariffs and the resulting economic uncertainty will wipe $50 billion from Canada's economy in 2025 alone. That equals $1,300 for every man, woman, and child in Canada, directly extracted by Donald Trump's trade war. For context, Canada currently sends 95% of all its energy exports to the United States. That's not just significant, that's total dependency. American refineries, particularly in the Midwest, have spent decades optimizing their operations specifically for heavy Canadian crude from Alberta's vast oil sands. The northern Alberta region holds approximately 164 billion barrels of proven reserves, making it the third largest oil reserve in the world after Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. The United States economy runs on that Canadian oil. But here's the twist that changes everything. Carney explicitly declared that Canada's historic strength, its tight integration with the American economy, has become a dangerous vulnerability under Trump's erratic trade policies. Those close ties that once guaranteed prosperity now represent existential risk. So Canada is building an escape route. The new Pacific Pipeline will transport over 1 million barrels of Canadian crude daily to British Columbia's coast for export to energy-hungry Asian markets. Premier Smith made the beneficiaries crystal clear when she said the agreement ensures our province and our country are no longer dependent on just one customer to buy our most valuable resource. China, Japan, South Korea, and India are about to become major buyers of Canadian oil that previously had nowhere to go except south. The political price Canada paid to make this happen reveals just how desperate the situation has become. The agreement requires rolling back a tanker ban on portions of the British Columbia coast and easing climate regulations that previously blocked major pipeline projects. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, a career environmentalist who spent decades fighting pipelines, resigned from Carney's cabinet in protest on the same day the deal was announced. Even Guilbeault admitted in his resignation statement that he understands why Canada needs to remain united in the face of American trade aggression. When environmentalists sacrifice their core principles to reduce dependency on the United States, you know Trump's tariffs have fundamentally altered Canadian strategic thinking. The economic implications for the United States are staggering and immediate. American refineries built to process heavy Canadian crude cannot simply switch to lighter grades from Texas or overseas. Retooling refinery operations costs billions and takes years. Meanwhile, Midwestern states that depend on affordable Canadian oil for heating, transportation, and industry will face supply constraints and price spikes. The pipeline reduces the price discount Canada currently accepts when selling exclusively to the United States market, meaning even the Canadian oil that continues flowing south will cost Americans more. But the strategic implications cut even deeper. China has pursued energy security through diversification for 2 decades, building relationships with Russia, Middle Eastern producers, and African suppliers. Now, Canada, America's closest ally and most reliable energy partner, is effectively joining that Chinese energy sphere. Beijing didn't have to invade, sanction, or threaten. Trump's tariffs accomplished what Chinese diplomats couldn't, convincing Canada to redirect its energy wealth toward Asian markets. Carney emphasized the pipeline project must attract private sector proponents by April 1, 2026, and pairs with mandatory carbon capture infrastructure, creating some regulatory hurdles. British Columbia Premier David Eby opposes the plan, noting it lacks company backing, financing, or support from coastal First Nations communities. Those obstacles are real, but the framework agreement signals unmistakable Canadian intent. After absorbing $50 billion in economic damage from American tariffs, Canada is building the infrastructure to ensure it never again faces that vulnerability. Trump claimed his tariffs would bring countries to their knees. Instead, he's driving America's most reliable ally to build its economic future around China. The pipeline might take years to complete, but the damage to United States-Canada relations is already done.